We'll get started here just in another 30 seconds as folks are chiming in. Okay, very good. Well, welcome everybody. My name is Greg Smith. I'm Executive Director of the Florida Literacy Coalition, and I'm joined by Nellie, our Resource and Communication Specialist as well. We'd like to welcome you to this session. I think it's going to be a really cool one. I've been looking forward to it. Entitled Enhancing Adult Learning, Practical AI Tools for GED, ESOL, and Literacy Instruction. We're very fortunate to have a presenter today who we've worked with on a number of occasions. You may have seen her in prior webinars or at our conference. She's been a frequent presenter at both, and she has some real expertise in this area. Talia Cotton is a literacy coach at the Millbrook Magnet High School, and is also an adjunct instructor for adult education at Tallahassee Community College. Probably most pertinent to this, she's finishing up her doctoral program at Florida State University in education with a focus on learning design and educational technology. So she really lives and breathes this through her academic work, and we're very fortunate to have her with us today. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Talia.
Thank you so much, Greg. Welcome. Let me go ahead and pull up the presentation and we will get started.
I also want to put in there that this is supported through a generous grant from the Florida Department of Education, so we appreciate that. And if you do have any questions throughout, just go ahead and add them to the chat, and we'll get to those a little bit later. So thank you.
Okay, so welcome again. My name is Talia Cotton. I have 19 years of educational experience, which honestly, I cannot believe that it's about to be 20 years. I don't look a day over 30, so I don't know how that works. I am a teacher, trainer, coach, professor. As Greg said, I am in my last year or last semester of my doctoral journey. I've written my dissertation. It's been submitted to the school. I defend March 12th. And so I'm just so ready for this to be over, and I'll be Dr. Talia Cotton, and it will be well worth the 60 grand that I paid. As also Greg said, that I am a frequent presenter here. I love Florida Literacy Coalition. I've presented all over the country. I'm going to another college to present something similar. So this is just what I do, what I love to do. You're not in front of a novice, but you are in front of a Florida girl. So you'll hear some of that good Florida language in there. I'm so happy to be with you, and let's get started. So we're going to have some chat talk really quick. Here's the question. What instructional tasks are the most time consuming for you? Give me your name and then tell me what instructional tasks that are the most time consuming for you. Let's put that in the chat. I can tell you for me, grading. I hate the grade papers. I hate it with a passion. I will spend an hour making something so that I don't have to spend 20 minutes grading. So in the chat, tell me, what is the most time-consuming instructional task for you? Let's throw that in the chat and let's see what folks are saying. Somebody said grading as well. Person with my own heart, creating word problems in their GED math class. Yes. Matching curriculum to the students so that differentiating materials, yes, especially in adult ed and ESOL and literacy support. What else? What about making those slides? Is that an issue for some folks? Lesson planning. Yes, especially for like GED and CASAs. If you have different levels, you have to be able to do that. Locating appropriate reading resources for low readers. Yes. have a trick for that for you. Finding materials for their EL learners that's interesting to them. And so just look at all the things that we have to do as instructional providers in adult basic literacy and education and GED. We have to do a lot of things. And so the goal of this is to help you figure out ways to cut down some of that time drain and be able to utilize that time for yourself or put it back into your students, right? And so that's what we're going to be discussing today. And so here's the dilemma that all of us have to deal with, right? We have all this paper, all these articles, all these PDFs, all these lessons, all these things from the Florida Adult Education, which is what we land on. We have all these things from GED Academy or CASAs or all of these things that we have to do, Burlington, like all of these places. But like, what are we supposed to do with them? We need a place that all these things can be, and then we can use that place to help us be able to support our students, right? Differentiate for our diverse learners and the students that are on different levels. That's what we're going to talk about. How to take Notebook LM, put all this material, that's great material together, and then produce something that's going to support your students, right? And so with Notebook LM, I'm going to tell you a little bit about it, but I want you to look at it, and it's going to take all those resources and wall it off and make it into a great organized garden for you to instruct your students. So it's a research tool from Google. As long as you have Google, you have access to Notebook LM, and it has a generative AI feature that interacts with your document. Now, what I love about it, it not only interacts with your documents, but it creates content from your document, and that's going to be very important and very key to what we're talking about today. So, Notebook LM is called a source-grounded AI tool. What does that mean? So I've been teaching for almost 20 years, right? I started in 2007. And then beforehand, I was in grad school for my master's degree, and I went to get my bachelor's and AA and all of that. I kept everything. So at first I had a thumb drive. Now I have my Google Drive. I have everything from the last 20, 25 years, right? And it's all dealing with either literacy, GED, or something in between, right? I have all this paper. Now what? What Notebook LM will let me do is pull everything on a topic, put it into that notebook, and now I can do content creation. I can do course design. I can do student support. I can have accessibility. That's what I love about Notebook LM. And when I tell you I get up and I use it every day, I am not being facetious. I use it every day. This document that you're looking at was created through and edited, by me, but it was created through Notebook LM. Look at the graphics, look how engaging it is. This is the type of work we can do for our students with Notebook LM. So, what is source grounding and why does it matter? We know that generative AI tends to provide what's called hallucinations, right? Like you tell it something and it may give you an answer that seems right, but it's wrong. What source grounding will do is it keeps everything within this closed system based on your documents. So it's going to first go to your documents for the answer. And as long as your documents have that answer, it will tell you, right? So that's going to cut down on hallucinations. It's also going to cut down on content creation. Like it can create a study guide for you. It can create quizzes, summaries. That's hours of prep work. Honestly, I have literally gotten up at 4. I get up 4:30 in the morning to be at work at 6:55. Right? I don't wake up like this. This takes time, right? And so I get up and I know I need to teach. And my like my grandma used to say, my do it fluid is gone. I don't have the capacity or the energy right now to teach, but I know I need to teach. What I will do is pull up my phone, go to Notebook LM and make a slideshow based on what I want to teach my students. Or I'll make a video based on what I want to teach my students, maybe even a quiz. I'll do that 4:30 in the morning. I'll get dressed. And by the time I'm at work, or actually 5 to 10 minutes, I have something that I can show my students. That's how easy and seamless using this can be, right? I can differentiate that. So maybe I want to have my students looking at this concept, and then I want to lower it and have them looking at another concept. I can do that. I want to show you how. So this is the Notebook LM interface, and I'm actually going to have you see this in real life. So what you're looking at is the Notebook LM interface. Couple things I want to show you. This is located in Google. So if you notice at the top, it says notebooklm.google.com. You have over here the sources. So I have 12 sources all talking about English sentences, right? So this is for my ESL, multilingual language learners, folks that are trying to build up their literacy skill. I have put in uploaded files, websites, YouTube videos. I put in things from my Google Drive. I've copied and edited text. I can put in PDFs, images, documents, audio, a bunch of stuff. I can even go and have it look in the websites or web for me, right? So I put all of these sources there. If you don't have Pro, you can get up to 50, and 50 is a lot, right? I bought Pro, so I get up to 300. And I can put all of that in there. What does that do? Now I can chat with my sources, right? And so I can ask it questions like, what's the difference between an independent and a dependent clause? And it will shift through all of the sources and give me an answer based on my sources. So while that's thinking, because it's thinking, right? There's also something called the studio. The studio is my friend. In the studio, I can make audio podcasts. I can make videos. I can make mind maps. I can make reports, infographics. I love a good infographic right now, and a slide deck. So let's go back now that it's finished thinking. It has answered my questions based on the sources, but I want to show you what's so attractive about how it's answering the questions. When I click on that little source bubble, it tells me where it got that information from. So this answer came from Daily Grammar, the source that I put in there. This came from Improving Your Sentence Structure. And so that's one of the things I absolutely love. It's taking the information from the sources, right? And so along with that information, I want to show you how you can take that and decide, hey, I want to make an infographic where my students can learn about mastering the English sentences. So I made an infographic for you. And look at this. Very picturesque, right? Very colorful, very visually engaging. It's talking about subject and predicate, right? It's talking about sentence varieties, independent, dependent clauses. The thing that I've been doing with my students is I've been having them analyze the infographic, right? Find this, find that, search this, search that. I made that into a whole assignment for my students. And all I had to do, I'm going to show you the prompt. I just said introductions to sentences, define, explain, model, and practice. Just something really simple. I didn't have to go in there with big lofty words. I can just say introduce sentences and it will make me an infographic, right? I had it make me a video, and I'm going to see, I thought I maybe fixed it. So bear with me and give me some grace. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear this. No, you probably didn't. No. So I'm going to have you explore that. But it made me a video, and it's sound, and it's pictures, and it's talking about all of the things I've told it to do, right? And so you're going to get a chance to play with that as well. And all I did was say, give me an introduction. Another thing that it did for me, is it made me a slide deck. And I love their slide decks because they're very colorful, they're very engaging, right? Like, look at this. This is really great. And it's all coming from the Notebook LM. So just exploring the actual page and infrastructure, we see a lot of things that we can do. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to look at the studio and look at the chat. Have some think time, and then tell me, if I dropped you into this mastering English sentences, what's the first thing you would do? Again, take a look, have some think time, and tell me what's the first thing you would explore in this notebook, and put it in the chat. Let's take about a good 30 seconds to a minute to have our think time, and then just flood the chat. What would you do if you had access to this notebook? Somebody said flashcards. I love that. Somebody said a slide deck. Love a good slide deck, right? Mind map. Somebody said a mind map. Quiz, right? Think about what you could do with this, right? We have that audio overview. Who would make a audio podcast for their students? Somebody said flashcards. So look at, I'm not even gave you access to this, and you're already thinking about what you could do with this if you had access to it. That's the thing that I love about Notebook LM, and it doesn't take much. I don't have to spend a lot of time. So I'm going to make a slide deck, and I did that a little quick. I'm going to slide deck and see this little pencil. Pencil tends to be the universal sign for edit. Click on that, and now I can tell the system what I want to make the slide about, right? What I want it to be about. So I've done an introduction. Now I want to talk about, what is it? It's subject, verb, agreement, right? That's it. That's all I'm going to tell it to do. And it's going to start grabbing everything and make that slideshow. Now, one of the things that I want you to note, this takes time. I want you to think about what it's doing. It's pulling everything from 12 sources. It's making pictures. It's doing all of those things. So this is going to take about 5 to 10 minutes. So we're going to let it cook for a little bit while we're going through it, right? And so what I want you to do, I'm going to give you access to this Notebook LM. That's the link. That link is going to give you access to be able to chat and or look at the actual items that I've made. And I want you to notice I have one that has a little Spanish with it, right? Like I can actually make one for my Spanish speaking students. Take about, let's say about 2 to 3 minutes. I'll call you back, and I want you to just play with it and see what you like, and we will come back. Again, take about 2 to 3 minutes. Let's play with mastering sentences, without having to make a notebook, and see what you like about it. And we're going to come back and share out really quickly. And while we're doing that, you're welcome to put any questions that you may have in the chat. Again, let's take about 2 minutes and let's play with it. So one of the things that I'm going to play as you're playing, one of the things that I've started doing with Notebook LM is other than making this great content, I've started asking it instructional questions. So, for example, I have a student that is struggling with sentence structure. make me a practice sheet to help him. Okay, so I just told the chat, and we're coming back in about 45 seconds. I will answer that, Victor. That's a great question. So I asked the chat, I have a student that's struggling with, or who is struggling with sentence structure, make me a practice sheet. It's going to do that. Victor asked a great question. He said he's new to teaching. Where do I find sources to add? First, Khan Academy is my friend. You can always start with their YouTube videos. You want to pull from any vetted resource. So if you're teaching Burlington English, anything that they make, non-copyrighted material, but like anything that the worksheets and anything like that. But I always go straight to Khan Academy because they have a plethora of videos. Ask any of your colleagues, anything that, but mostly Khan Academy or any vetted material. And I don't know your content area, so I don't know what would be the vetting for you. But I have used things like for my grammar, I've used Daily Grammar. I like their material. I have done a Google search about slope, and they've showed me great materials. And so it's just a Google search away. That's what I highly recommend. Search it, find something that's reliable. Ask some of your colleagues what do they use, and when in doubt, always go to Khan Academy, right? So drop in the chat, what do you think? Now, just playing really quickly, they made a worksheet for my students who's struggling with sentence structure, right? Based on my sources, right? The basics, subjects and predicates. A complete sentence expresses, they're given a definition, and now for each sentence, identify the subject and the predicate. All I have to do is cut and paste this into a Google document, and I have a worksheet en masse for my student. I can throw this in Canvas quickly and be done, right? Any thoughts about what you got a chance to play with before we go back into the presentation? Any thoughts? Let me have a couple thoughts. Did we like it? Can I get a thumbs up? Can I get a good heart? A good thumbs up? What do we have here, people? Awesome. Time saving for sure. Definitely makes things easier. Awesome. Yes. So there's a couple things I want to show you. How do we get started? Let's go back here. And I want you to notice I've done this in Canva, but this started out as a slide from Notebook LM. So notice that I adjusted. So couple things. Step one, curating your sources. Best practice. I like to focus on having sources that are on one topic. So, for example, that was about sentences, right? And it's going to just deal with sentences. I'm not going to throw paragraphs in there. I'm not going to muddy the waters because whatever you put in there, it's going to affect it. For example, I teach tone and as an English teacher, and a lot of time tone and mood is connected. And so I have sources that talks about tone is not the mood. And so when I make content, a lot of times they always like to slide mood in there, and I'm not teaching mood, I'm only teaching tone. And so I have learned to be very particular about the sources that I want to focus on. And I've even told the machine, do not talk about mood in this, right? So for my GED people, you might want to have a notebook that's just on social studies. You might want to shrink that down and have it just on the World War or the Civil War or, something like that. You might want to have a notebook just for essay writing. You might want to have something for how to pronounce certain words. All of that is up to you, but I do recommend you do one subject and have a book for one subject. You have 50 sources. You have plenty of room to do what you need to do. PDFs, Google Docs, copied and paste text, websites, YouTube video, I absolutely recommend using the YouTube videos. They're very helpful, and Google Slides. All of those things can be added to your notebook, right? A couple other things. Step 2, you want to start having that conversation with the chat. Now, a couple things we need to know when we're talking to any AI, generative AI. The better the input, the better the output. What does that mean? That means the instructions and the information that you give the chat is going to then produce a better response. I always tell people to use, and I still use, something called RTF. That stands for role, task, format. That's the prompt. And so give it a role. Tell it the hat that you want, the intellectual hat that you want it to wear. Give it the task, what you want it to do, and then give it the format to give you that information. So, for example, role, act as a GED literacy tutor. Task, create a lesson plan on main idea. Format, add a table with sentences. You can do that. You can also get help from ChatGPT to actually make a prompt for you and make other materials for you. So I have something over there that is helpful. I just said I provided it a source and it summarized some of that information for me, right? But what I like about Notebook LM is that it's going to do that with all of the sources, right? I think ChatGPT can only go up to 10. This one will go up to 50, right? So I can use ChatGPT to make a prompt, give me information that I can then deal with Notebook LM with, right? And so what it's going to do is take that prompt and then make that lesson plan for you, right? So just like you saw me very quickly make a worksheet for my struggling student, you can make a lesson plan for your literacy or your GED class very quickly, right? You can ask it questions, and this is what's lovely. It supports 80 languages. So I have a colleague that I introduced her to Notebook LM. She has a student that speaks Farsi, right? Or she understands Farsi, right? She can't read it, but she understands it. So what she does is she takes her PowerPoint that she's giving to her English speaking students, and she takes it and she puts it in Notebook LM, just that one PowerPoint. And every day she produces a video of her source that's in Farsi. So I want you to think about mind blown with your ability to be able to do that, right? And so we're going to look at that a little bit more. Actually, let me go here. Look at all that support that you could do, right? And we'll go back to the sources in a minute. But we have so many languages, 80. You don't have to just stick with English. You can go, I use Spanish right now, and there's Spanish, Latin American Spanish, Mexican Spanish. It's a lot, right? And so I made a Spanish slideshow that's written all in Spanish. I made an infographic that's in Spanish, right? And I talked to the chat in Spanish. So kind of think about how you can guide and help your students with the content in their actual language. That is a game changer, right? And so whether it's in English or in another language, I can have a deep dive podcast. That's where my students will hear two people, because the students are used to podcasts. They hear two people actually talking to each other about the subject, right? This is great for our auditory learners. This is great for fluency, building fluency. Like they can actually mimic these folks, and it's an AI voice that's mimicking actual real American fluency, right? If you're trying to get them to learn the language. So there's that. There's also an video overview, right? That's going to give you a summary a lesson script that is going to focus on the subject that you want them to actually do. One of the things that I love about the video, like I said, I have years and years and decades worth of material. I will all of a sudden see an old slide that I did like years ago, but because it has access, it will just pull that picture and throw it in there. So I thought that's lovely. And then same thing with slide decks. It's a polished, wonderful, visually appealing slideshow. So once again, the setup for this slideshow started with Notebook LM, right? And so you can take it, make it, and use Canva. I'll show you that in a minute. You can use Canva to edit. And so this is kind of a little advanced, but I put my PDF in Canva, and then I had it adjusted for me and change some things for me. So like this was an actual picture from the Notebook LM, and I can just go in and tell it to change, grab the text, figure out how to do all those things, right? And so give me 1 second. So this is one of the pictures that came from Notebook LM. Notice how it has this edit feature. If I click edit, it will let me grab certain items from the picture, but my biggest thing is grab the text. So when I click grab the text, it's going to take that picture, and anything that looks like text, it's going to let me grab. And that's how I edit the PowerPoint. And I started doing that. Let me go back. I started doing that because while this thing is smart, there are a couple tweaks that I wanted it to do, some things that didn't align with where I wanted to teach, or I wanted it to say something specific. And so I would go in and I would tweak it and I would change it, right? But that can be a little bit more advanced. So that's something for those of you who are interested in diving into the deep end. Go play with that, right? So what I want to do is this. First, I want to have you ask me a couple of questions. Then I want you to go play. And while you're playing, I'm going to play as well. We're going to make a notebook. And then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about what you experience with that. So first things first, questions, whether in the chat or if you want to come in, I don't know if they've unmuted you, come in and talk to me. What are your questions? So someone said, have you used Notebook LM to assess new students, identify learning difficulties, determine level, and recommend curriculum? So first, I have used it to recommend curriculum. So as you saw with, let me get out of here and let me go back to the notebook. As you saw, I said, I have a student that's struggling. Give me a worksheet. Give me a lesson plan. Tell me what to do. Some other things that I have done is I have actually created curricula for my course. In my English class, I do something called an ARP, and that's an academic recovery plan. If they did not pass that quarter, they have to go and watch videos that I created, take a test for the videos, watch the slides, and take a test. I made a whole ARP for them based on that. Learning differences, yes, I have used this to actually make, if we're talking about, let's say, going to the grocery store, I want it on a level 5 or a level 3 or a level 1. I can have it do that for me. When it comes to identifying learning differences, I've also told it like, hey, my students are this is what they failed on the test. What do I need to do to help them? Okay. I hope that answered your question. Someone else said, and while we're doing this, feel free to go in Notebook LM. We'll have a structured time for that, but you feel free to go into Notebook LM really quickly for those of you who want to play. If you go to your Google, there are some there are a grid of dots right by your logo or right by your face or wherever that is in that side. If you click on that, it literally scroll down, is almost at the bottom. There's Notebook LM. You can also just type in, I'm going to grab this for you and put it in the chat. You can also grab that. So I'm going to go back to answering questions as we're playing with it. We're looking at it, and then we're going to have some structured time. Someone asked me, does it take a lot of time to upload the PDFs? Great question. No, not at all. So let's see. I'm going to go to sources. I'm in, and actually, let's do this. We're going to create a notebook. So I'm going to go to a new slide, new tab. I'm going to Google Apps. Of course, I have, as you can see, I have Notebook LM saved. I recommend you do that because I think this is going to be something everybody's going to use on a regular basis. But if I can't find it, I go to the Google Apps, scroll all the way down, and there it is. So it's going to bring up my Notebook LM once it cycles. So as you can see, I have a lot of notebooks in there, right? If you're just starting, you're not going to have anything in there. So I'm going to go to create a new notebook. And what's going to pop up is an untitled notebook. And now it wants me to actually start putting in my sources. So I can upload files. And what it's going to do is actually go to, as you can see, it's going to all of my stuff, and I can just click on, so this is pay no attention, this is my curriculum vitae, but it's a PDF, so it'll work. I'm going to actually GED essay files. Bam, there you go. So right here is a folder that I have, and all of this deals with GED essay. So this right here, I'm going to click on it, say open. And I don't know if you could see that or not, but seconds, it's about done. The source is in there. So Veronica, quickly. And now it's already in there, right? I can go add a source. I'm going to put all of those things from that folder in there. So Control A, open. And so now it's uploading all of the sources, if you can see that. And it's putting in there very quickly. Doesn't take long. Already at 11 sources. And so every time I add a source, it adjusts, right, to the new information. It's very smart. So now I have a notebook on GED, extended responses, scoring guide, and perfect sample. It's all based on that. I can change this. Let's say I don't want all that. I just wanted to say GED essay. I can go up there just like with any Google document and change that to GED essay guide. And that's my new thing.
So one quick question on the note, what constitutes a notebook? So if you have this GED essay guide and you want to do a flashcard series, you want to do a video, would all that be under the same notebook, or is each of those considered its own notebook?
No. So it will all be, so think of it, let me grab this, I'm in my office. Think of it like a notebook. Everything that's in here, right, is for this. If I take something out, it's still coming from this notebook, right? And so if I make content using what's in this notebook, it's still coming from this notebook, right? And so, for example, I'm going to make, and none of this is going to take a minute, I'm going to make an infographic. And so a couple things. If you hit the edit, it'll let you tell it what you want. If you just click on it, it'll make one based on all of the material. That's what I'm going to do right now. And so I'm going to make an infographic. I'm going to make a slide deck, audio overview.
And that's all under the same notebook.
That's all under the same
Okay.
notebook. So
Okay.
it's not going anywhere. So if I decide, hey, I'm going to go to another notebook, none of that's transferring over. It's staying right there in that file folder. And now I want to go to another file folder, right? And so going back to sentences, all of the things that I created in there, and somebody's having a good time in this notebook because I didn't do this. So folks are having it. No, maybe I did do it, but hopefully you're having a good time in there. So like anytime I create something, it stays in my notebook. But I want to draw your attention back to this notebook I just made. In the chat, really quickly, somebody tell me how long did it take me to make that notebook? Or even shout it out. How long did it take me to make that notebook on GED essay guide?
Minutes, less.
Minutes. So notice, as long as I have my sources, even if it's one source, I'm good. And now I can start creating content. I can ask questions. I can engage. So this is a time saver. And so you do not have to be tech savvy to do this. You do not need you don't have to have your doctorate to do this. I didn't have it when I started using it, right? You get in there, you add some sources, even if it's one, and start playing, right? For Victor, who wanted to know where to get the content, start with one good YouTube video, a couple cut and paste things, and get started and start just playing with it. And by the time you play with it a little bit, you get comfortable. A couple questions. The audio overview, it says, is it based on, excuse me, go. The audio overview, is it based on previous audio you recorded? No. So the audio overview is based on the information in the actual in the notebook. And I wish you could hear it because I have on my Bluetooth now, so you can't hear my sound. But if you get in there, or actually, Greg, Nelly, let me give you the let me go back. Let me give you the access to that notebook we were listening to, and you can play that for me so that folks can hear it. Let me make a quick, I think I do have an audio. If not, I'm going to make one really quickly.
Can you do that, Nelly?
So I'm going to give you access to that. It's going to take a minute or so to create. While we're talking, I'll make sure you all get to hear it. But what will happen is it's just an audio file, and you get to hear that audio file, and it's talking to two AI people are talking about the content. And so once this finished, it'll take about 5 minutes. Before we leave, I'll let you, I'll have Miss Nelly play the video and play the audio so you can hear that.
I've used that feature a number of times. It's pretty remarkable, but I don't think there's an easy way to edit that, right? The audio?
No, the audio cannot be edited. Well, that's not true. You can't tell it what to say. We haven't gotten there with this, but if you are interested in having a little bit more control over what it's saying, I'm going to show you I'm going to show you something that you might find very interesting. This is off script, but I think some of you might love this. If you go down to something called vids, if you click on that, it lets you take your slides, Google Slides, and convert it into an actual video. So I've started using this too. I love all things technology. So as you can see, I'm doing let me get this out of the way, and let me find a slide that I've done for my students. Oh, that should be interesting. So let's take this. This is the slide from today's presentation. This should be cool. So I'm in here. I put it in Google Vids. It's asking me which slides do I want them to use. I can use select all, or I can pick and choose the one that I want them to use, right? So I'm just going to find a couple of them just to show you some things. So I'm selecting about 3 or 4. Now I want you to notice what it says. Include the AI voiceover script and background music. So I want you to think about what I've just done. I've taken a notebook LM slide deck. I've made it into a Google slide, and I'm putting it in Vid because I want a little bit more control over what's being said, right? And I'm going to import it. This will take a couple seconds, maybe. It won't take long. What this is going to do is take that PowerPoint or that slide presentation and now add an AI voice to it where my students, I can kind of just let it go on and do what it needs to do. So I want to show you this really quickly, and you won't be able to hear it. But I am going to, what it's going to do, get out of there. Down here, it says narrator. And look at what it's saying. It's actually talking. You can't hear it because my computer is not letting y'all hear what I am saying or it's saying. But it is going to say, welcome to this video on enhancing adult learning. We will explore practical AI. Like, it's going to talk and it's going to speak and it's going to say everything. I can take all this off and I can tell it to say something else. So if you want a little bit more control over what's being said, you can always go to Google Vid, right? I know you didn't come here for that, but that's just a treat for you. Couple things why I am answering questions. We have a few more minutes. I want you to go in, start playing. Make a notebook, upload your sources. Use that prompt. I made you a quick prompt. Act as an adult education teacher. Create multiple choice quiz based on these sources. Provide the question, answer choice, and then correct answer. So you can throw that in there. Click on some of the studio things while I'm continuously answering questions, whether live or in the chat. I want you to play with it. I want you to tell me what you think. So going back to this audio overview, someone asked, can you task the app to incorporate current events in your lesson? Yes. How would you do that? So let me see what's a better. Yeah, you can. So for example, if you have current events in your sources, when you make a slide deck, you can tell it what to put in there. So my framework for when I actually teach my students, I call it DEMP. So I always tell it to define, explain, model, and practice whatever I want it to practice, right? I can also say, add in this current event about whatever, and it will add that in. If you have that source, you can tell it to add this information in there. So for example, I always tell it to give a practice. It's going to pull a practice from my sources. And I had a source in there that's talking about LeBron, some Nike shoes. I think it was LeBron James's shoes that came out that year because I did a lesson on that. It grabbed that and put it as a practice. So you get to control it a little bit more if you want to. I hope that answers your question. And especially for social studies, I made a social studies notebook for, I think they're American history. And they were talking about the modern age. And I put like 50 sources in there, and it made pictures of all the presidents, of all the Enlightenment thinkers. Like, they made all of this wonderful, rich content. And I was like, oh, that's nice, right? Someone says the studio output will be saved on the right side. Yes. So anytime I've made anything, let me see if I can find my tone one. And I hope this is engaging. This is more like right now, get in there, play with it. Let me answer your questions. I'm trying to find my tone one. There it is. I made this in December 2024. And 23 days ago is when I made when I made some content. My first content was 447 days ago. So it saves everything, right? It saves everything. I think I've made this public. So you are welcome. I'm going to put that in the chat. You're welcome to go in and play with that. Nelly, were you able to pull up any of those audio or video files? And I can't see you if you're saying anything to me.
No, sorry, not yet. How do you start
No
it through
problem.
Google?
That link, if you click the link, it'll take you right to it. Any of those links. Yeah. But with that being said, I'm gonna keep going, but I think I got a workaround. I think I have a workaround. So a couple more things. Someone said, so AI generated voices. Yes, it is absolutely fascinating. And they sound like real people to the point that they have our verbal inflections and our cadence and how we naturally stumble over certain words. They do that. I thought that was really awesome that they added that little piece to it. So let's see. A couple more things that said, I'm uploading a PDF, click on it to create a slideshow, but it keeps spinning. So the spinning means it's thinking, right? Like it takes time to be brilliant. So just give it its space to do that. Because that's all that it means. It's just thinking. So, and it's going to take about 5 to 10 minutes to create your content. So especially when we're talking about the slideshows, like I want you to look at how beautiful these slideshows are. And this just happened in the last, few months that they started making these slideshows with Banana Nano. So this is gorgeous, right? And it's getting better and better. So a couple things. I knew I had a workaround. I'm on my phone. I don't know if you can see this, but I'm on my phone. Let me do this. And this is Notebook LM on my phone. So I'm going to let you hear the audio. I want you to Nelly, give me a thumbs up if you can hear this. So I'm going to give you a moment. I want you to listen to this podcast about tone.
Interesting deep dive ahead of us today. It looks like we're tackling tone based on all these articles and notes you sent.
Yeah, tone. I feel like it's one of those things that's so important, but can be tricky to really get a handle on.
Totally. Like, how do you know if someone's being sarcastic in an email? Or if a news article is trying to be funny or serious?
Exactly. It's like everyone's always saying read between the lines, but how do you actually do that?
Okay, so let's start with the basics then. When we talk about tone, what are we even talking about?
Well, you can think of it as the author's attitude or feelings. It's how they come across in their writing,
So it's not what they're saying, but how they're saying it.
Exactly. And those feelings.
Did that or did that not sound like a real person? Ron? Okay, yeah. So when I first started out, I started out with the audio overview. And of course, I'm fancy. I would take the audio overview, throw it in Canva, make a whole presentation. Then about a couple of months ago, they started with the videos and I was lost. Then, about a year ago, about 6 months ago, they started with the videos. And then they started doing the slideshow and the infographic. So I utilize all of those things. We have about 15 more minutes. I want to make sure you're playing. We're going to come back to the presentation in a minute, but I want to make sure I'm answering all those questions. Someone said it's Notebook LM private. Is it if student specific information is in a document source? So let me show you this. I have this at the end, but this is apropos. Where is it? Where is it? Here it is. So anything with someone's information, don't put it in there. Scrub it, remove it. That's just best practices, right? Like that's what I recommend. I would use sources that doesn't have anything to do with it, even your name, personal identifying information, all of that. Now, the lovely thing about it, let me make sure I'm on this. Yeah. The lovely thing about it, it's all there. It's housed. It's not going out to the web, but in education best practices, we do not add honestly our name, our student's name, any of that information. I would not. So if when in doubt, leave it out and kind of go back to kind of the old standards. If it has a student's name in it, it has your name, identifiable information, don't put it in there. That would be my best idea for that. Someone, oh, Kate, I love it. Jerry, great. Brenda, very good. Hey, Miss Johnson. I see the black rectangle. Oh, that's something else. And says, is there a way to cancel a studio in progress? No. Once it starts, it's on its own way. But you can go back into the studio and grab and make something again. And so, a couple things I do want to remind you about or tell you about. Let me get back here. As we're talking, let's go here. A couple things I want you to take note of, right? One, upload all of your old PDFs, your lesson plans, when I made that GED essay notebook, that's all the things from GED.com that talks about the GED writing test. That's everything from the Florida Department of Education that's talking about what our students should know, right? Their curriculum maps. That is an instructional tool. I'm not like, this is something that all teachers need to have for GED. Like, it's all of the vetted information that I've used to now make something new with, right? So look at that graphic. Notebook LM made that graphic. They're taking this old dusty 2018 and they're now transforming it into something more digital and creative, right? Reteach with some audio overviews. Reimagine your lessons with the video overview. Refresh your lessons. Make more modern example, more visual. We're dealing with students who have a TikTok brain. And so we know with TikTok, it scrolls. And if it's not engaging, they're moved visually and mentally, they're moving on. With this, it keeps them engaged. My students honestly love it. Like, they really do. They like it better than all these things that I was spending all these hours creating. They love that, right? So think about how you can cut down time and, right, make something that your students would absolutely love. Couple things. So you can you can use classroom data, right? So not personal information, but I have 50% of my students missed this. 80% of my students didn't do that. I can give it some information and then it can start telling me what I should teach, where I should go. Try this lesson, try that, right? Put on your teacher hat and computer, put on your teacher hat and help me figure out what I need to do to move my students, right? I can give a request for more simplified explanation so I can differentiate now at a drop of a hat. I can reclaim my time because now here's what I've started doing. For those students who don't come to class for 50 years and then they come back, what did we do? Everything, darling. We did everything, right? I can now make a video. I can tell it, okay, I know for this week we studied tone, but we're looking at feeling words. I can make a video or slideshow or infographic that they can now engage with without Miss Cotton or Professor Cotton having to redo everything, right? That saves a lot of time. I love that. I've been telling my teachers that I'm a coach to utilize that, right? Let the AI handle your heavy lifting. So now you can spend more time engaging with your students, right? I can do things like create a glossary for my ESOL learners, right? I can tell it to change it into another language. I love that, right? I love that for the students. So here's a couple things you can do. You can refine your prompts by using Chat GPT. You can literally say, write a prompt that I can put into my chat bot that will have it make me a lesson plan. Or you can just tell the chat bot to make me a lesson plan. Either way, you can make better prompts, or you can just stick with something simple, but Chat GPT can help you do that, right? I can ground the information I'm getting with Notebook LM to make sure that I'm making accurate content from my files. I can use Magic School. So before they started making the slides, I used to have it make me a lesson, and then I would move the Magic School AI and have it generate a presentation for me. Now that they make slides, I don't really do that as much, but I will say I like the controllability of it. If you don't know how to use Canva, you can do it that way. The visualize, so when you're using Google, there is something called Beautify that you can use. I won't show it to you, but I will talk about it in the next March 11th presentation that I'm doing with Florida Literacy Coalition. So feel free to come by and look at that. And then you can adapt things. So you can actually have your Notebook LM create text, and you can adapt that text to fit your needs, whether you do it in Magic School AI or do it actually in the notebook. But you have a plethora of AI supports that can help you not only teach your students, but support your students. And I have been brainstorming ways to engage my students in using this Notebook LM. And so I haven't gotten there yet, but I have been planning to try to let my students have access to a specific notebook. My rule of thumb with that idea is that I want them to have one just for them versus giving them access to the one that I use to teach them. So I think I'm going to kind of streamline that. But like I said, I'm just right now kind of brainstorming about how to engage my student with that. And so I thank you so much. I'm going to still make sure I'm here to answer any questions, but I thank you so much for your time, and have a wonderful afternoon. I'm still here for questions.
And Talia, I did have that video if you wanted me to pull it up now. If
Yes,
anybody wanted to see
please.
that. All right, so I'll
Yes.
steal the screen from you here.
If folks can please take a few minutes to complete our session evaluation, we'd really appreciate that. That's information that's useful to us. We share that with the Department of Education that's helping to fund this. So please take a few minutes. Nellie posted that in the chat.
And I've got our Mastering English Sentences notebook that Talia shared earlier, so I will pull up this video.
Hey, welcome.
Can everybody
Today,
hear
we are
that?
going to pull back the curtain on maybe the most powerful tool we have in language, the sentence. I mean, think about it. You use them thousands of times a day, and today we're going to figure out how they really work. So let's start with this awesome idea from Khan Academy. This isn't about learning something totally new or foreign. Nope. This is about giving names to things you already do perfectly every single day. You're already an expert at this stuff. Here's our game plan. First, we're going to prove to you that you're already a grammar whiz. Then, we'll look at the basic blueprint for every sentence. After that, we'll check out 4 different flavors of sentences, see how to build bigger ones with clauses, and then, we'll put it all together. That's right. Section 1 is all about you. Seriously, forget any stuffy, intimidating grammar lessons you might have had in school. The fact that you're understanding me right now, that proves you have this incredible built-in sense of how sentences are supposed to work. Just let that sink in for a second. You know how to do this. You are a grammarian. You've been studying this your whole life, just by talking and listening. All I'm here to do is hand you the official instruction manual for a machine you already know how to drive. All right, so if you're the driver, let's pop the hood and see how this thing is built. Turns out every single sentence, from a tiny little I am, all the way to some monster paragraph-long sentence from a novel, is built from the same 2 essential parts. And what are they building? Well, a grammatically complete idea. That's the textbook definition of a sentence. It's not just a bunch of words thrown together, it's a whole complete thought, all wrapped up. And these are the two parts. They are non-negotiable. Every complete thought needs a subject, that's the who or the what the sentence is about, and it needs a predicate, that's the what it's doing or what it is. A thing and something about that thing. That's the whole blueprint right there. Let's see it in action.
And I'm going to pause this here. Talia, you may be able to speak to this better. I did get a question in the chat asking if the audio can be slowed down. Are you able to speak to that at all?
So if I'm not mistaken, yes, it can be slowed down because once you, there it is, playback speed.
Playback speed, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe let's try this.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
In this sentence, our subject, the who, is the great big dog. Easy enough. And the predicate, what did it do? It licked my face. No matter how crazy long a sentence gets, you can always
couple things I want to show you. You can take this same video, you can put it in YouTube, and now your students can see closed caption. They have the transcript. And so one of the things that I've started doing, because accessibility is so important, I will put this in YouTube, grab the transcript, put it in Canvas, and put the transcript underneath it. Because we're moving to making sure that all learners have accessibility to every piece of content.
So they read it while they're listening.
So they can read it while it's listening.
Like
so you can go
captioning kind of thing. Yeah.
So meaning one of the things that I'm starting to see as best practice is that when you have a video in your educational content, you need to have a transcript with it. Right.
And you did say, was I clear that you can take that and through that other process you mentioned, edit that language, right? Yeah.
If you want to edit, let's just say, so you can't edit. You can edit it, but you probably have to have more skill sets than the average person in here has, right? You think you're basically editing a video, right? So that
was different from what you said before. Okay, that was
correct.
A slide deck.
But here's a skirt around. If you make a Google slide, you can put it in Google Vids, and now you have control of what the AI says.
Okay.
Right.
So a little bit different look to it, but essentially the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So what I have done before, I've taken a slideshow from Notebook LM, put it in Google, and put it in Vids, and controlled what I want to see. But like I said, that's a lot of steps. And if you're just interested in trying to play with it, that might be, above our tax bracket right now, right? But there are ways of being able to adjust. But I recommend using what they have and then start experimenting and broadening your horizons, because it's just playing with Notebook LM is going to be a lot.
Yeah.
And so I would kind of stay and play in that lane for a little while, and then move to, once you feel like, yeah, I have this, I can do this. I can do like Talia, get up 4:30 in the morning, boop, 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 and have something. Once you get there, then start playing with, hey, I want to edit the video, or hey, I want to take the audio and make a video, or hey, I want to edit the slides that they're giving me. I didn't start editing the slides right away. I just used what they had, and then the tech person that I am was like, hey, I can make this better, right? So that's what I absolutely recommend.
I'm most familiar with the virtual podcast, which just kind of blew me away when I first heard it. And what I'll do is, if there's a long article that I don't want to read the whole thing, I'll upload it to that and have them have a little dialogue about it, and you can kind of listen to it as sort of a virtual podcast. I find that it's usually pretty on point with the most important key takeaways. It's not 100%, but Notebook LM, since you've been using it for a while, is evolving, right? And
yes. Yes, absolutely. They did not have the infographic. They did not have the slideshows. They did not have the video. All of this is in less than a year. And I'm very surprised that I've used this for over 400 and some odd days. I didn't know I've had it that long, but they didn't have that when it first started. It was in beta testing. Now it's a monster now. I love it. I think we have about 4 minutes. In these 4 minutes, I want to hear from you. So I will take all the love that you have to give, right? But tell me what you think, right? Put it in the chat, pop in. What do you think? So a couple things. Can you see yourself using at least one piece of studio content? Right? What would that be? For me, it's the slideshow. I'm really loving the slideshow, right? Something else you can think about. Can you see yourself making a notebook? And if so, what's the first notebook you're going to make? My first notebook was main idea, central idea, and theme, because I had to teach that year, right? Or this year. That's the first thing I made, right? Answer one of those two questions. What thing did you like in the studio? What's the first notebook you think you want to make? And then somebody is giving me love. I really appreciate that. I love that. I love all the good glowy. Did you see that? Did you see the magic? So I love the love. I appreciate that. Someone said, absolutely. Mind-blowing introduction to a great tool. Awesome. Oh, thank you. And then awesome. Thank you, Ron. I don't even know Ron, but I feel like we're connecting, Ron. Someone says they made a 26 assessment notebook. Awesome. It said, yes, I think it's very neat and will be a platform, keep students engaging. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you, Ms. Johnson. Someone said math explanations and quizzes. Absolutely. I am not a math person. I know paycheck math, and I made one dealing with slope. And I can tell you what I love about it. I learned what slope is just by making it for my math teachers. I was like, oh, the rate of change. Oh, buying hotels. One hotel is $300. Two hotels is $600. That makes sense. Okay. And I learned it, right? Rise and run. Exactly. So I made that just for my teachers, but I learned by engaging with it. Thank you so much, Karen. I appreciate that. And so, like, my goal is that this moves the needle for a couple things as I wrap up. It gives you more time that we can't get back, right? I hope that for you. I hope that it elevates your content, all of those great PowerPoints, all of those great resources that you have. Now we're going to dust them off and add some spinning rims to them and put it into this TikTok world with these TikTok babies or adults or Facebook folks, depending on who you're dealing with. And then also, I hope it reinvigorates you about teaching. It has for me. I teach every day. And sometimes I'm like, pause, Talia, give the kids a break. I teach every day and I love it. And it just has done something for my instruction. So I appreciate this. See me on March 11th. I'll be here with bells on. And thank you so much. I put my contact information. You can reach out. I will give you access to this slideshow if I can. I will give you access to some of my notebooks that I have, or just reach out if you have any questions. And thank you so much for your time.
Well, thank you. It's a wonderful session, and please do join us for March 11th. That session will have a little bit more of a focus on helping students to use AI to study and practice and learn independently and just use it productively in their daily lives. So that's sort of the other side of the coin here. And we look forward to hopefully seeing you all for that session as well. So thank you so much. This tool to me is really worth spending some time to learn. There's a lot there, so there's a little bit of a learning curve, but you've really helped us to start that process here today, because it just has so much possibility. It looks like in a one-stop shop, which is really fantastic. So, okay, well, great. Thank you all for attending. Really appreciate it. See you on March 11th. Thanks, Talia. Appreciate it.
You're absolutely welcome. Bye.
Bye now.